All right. Welcome to the Relative Rhythms Podcast, episode 1.
Episode 1.
Woo-woo. Okay, so Adam and I...
Happy National Tap Dance Day.
Oh, yes. Happy National Tap Dance Day. Thanks for celebrating with us, guys. We're so excited to launch this podcast and share the awesome conversations we've had with everybody. But we are awkward, so we decided to...
Speak for yourself.
We decided to play a little game to start off the podcast. And we've written down questions for each other. And we will be pulling the questions out and do a little quick fire question answer to help you guys get to know us and start the season off.
Yeah. You want to go first?
Sure. I'm so excited. Okay, wait. Okay, question number 1.
You're still being awkward.
Adam, why did you start a podcast?
I was hoping you would get that one.
It's a great first question.
That is, I started a podcast because you told me that we should start a podcast.
I did not. This was your idea.
No, this was 100% your idea.
Are you kidding me? No, this is definitely not my idea. This was, you're like, we should start a podcast because we have so many interesting conversations. You just definitely.
You literally told me that.
Not my idea. Okay, Adam. Why? Wow. Besides that.
Okay.
Besides that, why did you start a podcast? That's so funny. It definitely was your idea.
Besides the fact that you said that we should start a podcast. Well, really, it's just an excuse to interview some people that I find really interesting.
For sure.
And some get an excuse to reach out to some heroes of mine and like become friends, hopefully.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes.
It's going to go great. It's going to go great.
Okay, is it my turn?
Yeah, go for
it. Who is someone you'd love to play with and why?
Oh my gosh, I did not want to this was for you.
It says tap dancer in parentheses, but I think it should.
For you.
I think it should not. I think it should be someone else.
This might seem like a cop-out answer. No. I'd love to play again with some people that we, like I'm thinking we had a workshop a year ago where we had some really cool musicians from the area. And I think it'd be really cool to get that group back together and play again and see if I'm not as scared or nervous and feel like I made an improvement and be able to build that relationship and yeah, just show improvement and show that I've been working and kind of get like I don't know, not that I'm looking for a stamp of approval necessarily, but like wow, that was like really cool.
So a stamp of approval.
I don't know. So yeah, I mean, I don't have like some big like, oh, I don't know, famous person that I want to play with right now. Right now, my like my sights are set locally. I just
I think that is a cop-out answer.
I just want to like, I want to start like to cement myself in my community. I think that's more important to me right now than like trying to play with a famous person.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Switch it up so I can ask you one of mine. Oh man, share something you learned. No, this is the rules. Share something you learned about the history of jazz and tap that inspired you.
Oh, I mean, I think probably as tap dancers, we are told more often about the connection and the history than jazz musicians are.
Really?
Yeah.
Why do you think that?
I feel like we're told, oh, you know, tap dancers always used to be a part of the band, and, you know, these musicians, Thelonious Monk, or, you know, all these different musicians used to also get up and dance during their shows, or they'd always have a tap dancer as part of the band, and that was just like part of the culture. Like I feel like that's something we learn, and I feel like that's. I don't want to speak for you. Is that something that is taught in jazz world?
I mean, to an extent, we learn about like the beginnings of jazz, in like our history courses.
There were air quotes there for those who are listening.
So all the, the vaudeville stuff, the minstrelsy stuff, all that stuff. We learn about all that through that. And then like, of course, a lot of jazz standards come from like the golden era of movies and musicals. So obviously with all the musicals and all the standards, they were all sung by like, whoever, Fred Astaire or Gene Kelly or all these people. So we're certainly aware of it, and the connection certainly. I never knew of Jimmy Slide or Baby Lawrence,
which is crazy. Original jazz hoofer over there.
Well, it's crazy considering they like released jazz albums with jazz musicians and performed a lot with musicians. I don't know. What was the question?
Oh, it was for me actually. It was about share something that's inspired me. I think this is maybe I'm doing a lot of cop out answers. I think the history that I've been learning has mostly just inspired me to learn more history. So I've become really interested in the culture, as opposed to just kind of like the facts and the who's who in the tap world, which I had kind of like gone through my phase of like learning the who's who and who are all the female, and who are all the, all these people that I didn't know, and kind of went through the who's who, and that was super cool. But now that we've talked more about our shared history in terms of jazz music and tap dance, I've been more interested in the shared culture. So that's been really cool, and I've been kind of like nerding out a little bit on that. I've been listening to the audio podcast of Dangerous Rhythms. Have you heard of that book? It's about the like basically the ties to the mafia and the mob of the jazz musicians mostly, but there's also a lot of reference to just the entertainers, which all the entertainers included the tap dancers as well. So that's been interesting. And I didn't realize how interconnected, even though tap dancers, I always knew tap dancers and jazz musicians played together. I didn't realize how all of the entertainment of the time was interconnected, and like the cabaret cards, and like how much that influenced everyone. It didn't just influence the famous singers of the day, or and like the Red Scare. Like it influenced all of the entertainment, tap dancers included. And I guess I used to think of those more as like separate entities,
because they're kind of separate entities
now. No. Yeah.
Interesting.
So, yeah. Okay. Your turn. Okay. I love this question for you. What is your what is your dream for this project and or the future of tap and jazz music?
This project meaning this podcast.
Yeah.
Wait, don't put it back.
Oh, sorry. Yes, just the general relative rhythms and like our work in bringing the communities together, and not necessarily just the podcast.
My dream, through the work, like the educational work we're doing, I guess my dream is to be able to feel comfortable hiring a tap dancer on a gig.
I mean, I feel like you feel comfortable doing that now with certain tap dancers?
I've never done it before.
Yeah.
Mostly because the people I would feel comfortable doing it with don't live near me.
Right. Yeah.
But I also just, big lofty goals.
Yeah, big lofty. Go crazy.
Be able to kind of change the perception of percussive dance, I guess, specifically tap, because this is what we've been talking about. But change the perception of what's possible with the art form. Big and lofty.
Change it from what or to what in your mind?
Well, this is specific to tap dance because other percussive dance forms don't, at least seem to have a closer connection to music.
Well, they tend to live more in a folklore.
Right.
Folk.
More of a folk tradition.
Yeah, folk tradition. Excuse me.
I'd like to see more music education in tap specifically, and maybe even convince tap to come over into music world.
We just need an invitation, Adam. You don't have to convince us of anything.
Well, I mean, to get not to go down this rabbit hole again, but I mean, to get, it's kind of like a catch 22, right? To get the invitations, you have to have a certain level of knowledge. Yeah, to get the gig, you have to have a certain level of proficiency at XYZ, and on the flip side, if you don't know that these opportunities are out there,
right,
why would you try and learn about them?
Yeah,
right.
Work to get there.
If you've never even considered the possibility of being hired as a percussionist in a musical setting, why would you study things that percussionists study?
Right.
So, but high and lofty. I think it would be cool, and I think it would be good for both communities. I think that's
more opportunity for
both communities. Yeah.
Right. More opportunity for tap dancers.
More gigs. More
gigs. More collaboration. More work. More.
Yeah.
Money for all the arts.
Yeah. I don't know about the more money part, but
yeah. All right.
Is it my turn?
Yeah, I think so.
Who is a new, in air quotes, artist you have discovered through this process?
Musician? Tap dancer? Either? Both? All?
Any.
I will share a
performing artist.
Let's go performing. Do they have to be like currently performing?
No.
I will share a love-hate relationship I have developed over this is Chet Baker. I hate him.
Why?
And also love him, so don't come for me.
How can you hate Chet Baker?
First of all, this is not my normal vibe of music.
Really? He's so chill.
I like upbeat things, He's too chill, but also too pushes and pulls and pushes and pulls. And I like things
just four on the floor.
Where they are. But we had a tune of the month. I think it was Just Friends.
I don't remember.
That his version of it, it gave me ulcers, I'm pretty sure. I was so annoyed by it that I listened to it probably 300 hours. It was insane. And then I finally played it and I got a compliment and it made me feel so good. And it's been a good challenge. And so now I like him for the fact that it's not what I would normally like listen to or gravitate towards.
Interesting.
Still kind of
You should listen to some more of him. I think you'll grow to like him more.
Oh, I like him. And I found tunes that I'm like, okay, yeah, this is like chill. This is like, lay outside under an umbrella, chill. But I'll just always have that memory associated with it. So, and I don't think this is embarrassing to say, I don't know that I would have ever or have ever really intentionally or, his songs may have come up in my life at some point, but I didn't know who it was. Mm-hmm. So this is like the first time I was like, oh, this is a human that I
should know.
Well, should know. Yeah, for sure. Should know. But also like now just gives me anxiety. Okay. All right. What is something that you've learned through this process that has surprised you?
Was this my question?
No, I wrote this for you.
Oh.
And
I feel like I wrote a very similar question.
Oh, maybe.
That surprised me. I don't know. I guess a lot of the history that I didn't know about before.
See, we gotta get tap history into jazz music programs.
Yeah, no, I agree. There was actually, I think Rachel Gain maybe shared me an article. Just really heady stuff, but went down the rabbit hole. The guy who wrote Jazz Dancing, the Stern folks. Mm-hmm. The article was all about academia and jazz and tap because they were also really influential in creating academic programs for jazz education in collegiate settings.
Okay.
And the article was it was a paper. The paper was like asking why that was so successful for jazz. His work was so successful for
but not for
like
tap.
Jazz,
yeah,
but not for tap. It was really interesting. I'll have to get you the article.
What was?
But yes, I agree that they should be together.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think on a hot take here. Please don't cancel me. I don't think tap dance should be in dance schools. I think it should be in music programs.
Why not both?
It can be in both.
Yeah, why not both?
But it doesn't seem like the dance world really values
us.
And historically speaking and culturally speaking, it doesn't belong with ballet as much as it does with jazz
for
music.
sure. Yeah, for sure.
And I feel like there's a real, not like a conflict of interest, but the stuff doesn't line up.
Yeah, I will say, in terms of like if we're talking about in collegiate settings, tap exists mostly in musical theater programs, not as much in dance programs. So like where I went to college, ECU, shout out. It's only available. I mean, anybody can take the class, right? But tap is only there because it's a requirement for the musical theater program.
Right.
So it doesn't really exist in the dance program. It's there in service of the musical theater program.
Right. That's what confuses me. And if I was a tap dancer, I would be pretty frustrated about. Because if it's existing solely in service for another art form, like no shade being thrown at musical theater or anything like that. But so if I could only study clarinet, and actually this is part of what frustrated me about going to school for clarinet performance. If I can only study clarinet in a very specific small, if I can only study, I don't know, early 20th century and late 19th century music on the clarinet.
Right. Yeah, that's very fair.
And only perform my clarinet with like an orchestra. Right. That cuts out so much of not only the clarinet's history, but also it just boxes you into something that you might not want to be boxed into.
Right. The
options. And it's not teaching you the world of music that's outside of that very specific niche, you know?
Adam is very passionate about secondary education.
I have some thoughts.
Yes, right. So it doesn't teach about the dance and the possibilities and the history. It just teaches about it within the context of musical theater.
Right.
This is generally speaking, obviously.
And if you're gonna, I mean, yeah, you're gonna get me. You're gonna get me in trouble.
Go for it.
If you can only, if your level of education, even in like college, university, secondary ed, whatever, it can only get you here and only in service of a very specific niche. How are you going to learn? How are you going to grow? If you can only grow into here, like you have to take out, you have to go and study outside.
Well, you have to. Yeah, you have to. But you would anyway. If you're passionate about it, you would anyway.
But then why go to college?
Well, there is the $1 million question.
Yeah, but especially for tap.
Well, you can't. I mean, I don't know of any places that you can just go to school for tap.
Right. So if you love tap so much and you say, this is what I want to do with your life, you can't go to university to pursue that. You have to go to a different route.
Train with people and study with people, just like you could on the clarinet. Like you could, or in any music, you could seek out a mentor and just study, and you don't need to go to college for the arts.
Correct. You're correct. However, this goes back to what I'm saying. I don't think dance world takes tap seriously, and I think if they decided to switch into music world, they might get further.
Ah, okay. There we go.
They might be taken more seriously, especially considering the shared history.
Okay.
Especially if they're willing to study what musicians study.
Right. Okay, there we go.
Hot takes.
Okay.
Canceled after the first episode. Here we go.
Whose turn is it?
I don't know.
I think it's your turn to answer a question or to ask a question.
Ask a question?
Mm-hmm. You can pick a new one.
What has been your favorite relative rhythms memory?
I think we should both answer this question. Mine is easily when I got a compliment.
Wow, that is a low bar, my friend.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's been a lot of great memories. Do
you remember who the compliment was from?
Oh, 100% I do. This was...
you remember
everybody remembers their first.
The exact date.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think just I was very vulnerable when we first started this journey, and nervous about it, and was just grateful that we've continued the conversation, and but yeah, definitely hands down my favorite memory was getting the compliment. All right. Okay. Who is a tap dancer that you have become a super fan of?
Jimmy Slide.
Oh, that was shortest. So, and I
does it have to be alive,
believe,
or is
no. I cannot believe you've never heard of him before. That's insane.
Yeah, no, I've certainly heard of tap dancers, mostly, I guess because of the movies like Bojangles,
Right.
Fred Astaire, all those
Right.
people. But yeah, never heard of Jimmy Slide before.
Sidebar, Adam and I solely grew up watching movie musicals of the 30s and 40s.
Yeah.
I mean, that
didn't love
or
it.
Star Trek. It was either the two. Like, there was
Star
no
Trek,
other.
I did love.
No TV in our home. no pop culture. Nothing. It was either Fred Astaire or Star Trek. So, anyway, continue. So, yeah, you have some,
Yes. Anyway, no,
Anyway, here we go.
I never heard of Jimmy Slide before our conversations.
See, that's crazy. And you should have.
Yeah, but it's also crazy that, not to get defensive, there's thousands of jazz musicians or just musicians in general that tap dancers have no awareness of.
Oh, for sure. But there's a million more jazz musicians. I guess maybe not that. Maybe that's not true. There's a million tap dancers too. All the vaudeville tap dancers and stuff. I haven't even, I don't know all of them.
Right.
And it's not like you know all the jazz musicians in the world.
No.
So there's always going to be people we're learning about.
Right.
You don't think we know the greatest hits?
Right.
I think that's a generalization, but not that it's wrong. Okay, next question.
Is it my turn?
I think so.
Oh, this is the same question. What has been the hardest part of this process so far?
The hardest part for me is feeling like I am a representative for you of tap dance. Like, I feel like because you are...
Because I ask you all the questions.
Correct.
I see.
Correct. And I know, and the whole reason we started having these conversations is because I wanted to learn. I know I am like at the bottom level of this mountain that I'm...
Well, don't sell yourself short here.
All right. Okay. But, I mean, I was like solely musical theater, and that's really kind of why I tap danced, and it wasn't until later on that I just kind of like my world was opened up to all of these possibilities and the cool history and the awesome culture and the awesome community, and I wanted to learn more about it and become a better musician. And so when we started having these conversations, I knew I was I wasn't a good representative of the incredible tap dancers who are also incredible musicians in the communities, in our community. And I didn't want to like give those incredible musicians like or incredible tap dancers a bad rap because you were only interacting with me. So that's been hard and why I've tried to like advocate so hard for you getting to know all these other tap dancers who are actually doing the thing and approaching tap dance as a musical form and playing music when they dance, because I didn't want you to think that I was it. Like I'm like just learning how to crawl over here, and I didn't want you to assume that of all tap dancers. Mm-hmm. We're empty. We're out of questions. And I think that's a wrap for the first episode. We have an awesome lineup of guests for this season, so hopefully you'll stick around. And if you have thoughts or you want to share your own answers,
we should do an episode like that
to any of these questions,
or have them write in questions for
us. Please do that. Send us a message. The whole reason we're doing this is because we just have been enjoying the conversations we've had. So
or not.
Keep it coming. If you know, in a good, positive, you know, a positive way to move the communities forward. That's what we're looking for. So if you're also interested in that, hang with us, listen to the podcast, leave a review.
Despite what it may seem sometimes.
Yeah, we are both here just because we want more opportunities for each other's art forms and more community and more communication. And so if you're into that, we're into you. And send us your thoughts. Yeah.
Cool.
All right. How do you feel, Adam?
I don't know. I feel like I need another beer.
Okay. And on that note, happy National Tap Dance Day. Yeah. Cut. Thank you for joining us on our very first episode. We'll be releasing new episodes every other Tuesday. Please follow us and give us a review wherever you are listening. And connect with us at Relative Rhythms on Instagram and all the socials. Our closing music today is Mzungu by the Adam Price Group off of the album House Ghosts. If you'd like to support our work, you can do so at patreon.com/Relative Rhythms, where you can find extra content and the full unedited episodes complete with awkward pauses, inappropriate road stories, extra rabbit holes, and everything we had to cut out to fit the episode into an hour and change.
This podcast is an excuse for interviewing our heroes and furthering our own education and understanding. We acknowledge that we both come from very specific racial and socioeconomic backgrounds. In spite of this awareness, during this podcast's run, we are sure to bump into awkward conversations and be hit by our own blind spots and biases. But the point of this podcast is to learn and grow and bring important conversations to our audience, even if they are sometimes awkward. In doing so, we hope to promote understanding and bring our communities closer together.
If there's a conversation you'd like to have, a subject you'd like us to investigate, a guest you'd like to suggest, or even some constructive criticism, please feel free to send us a message through our website, relativerhythms.com. Thank you again for listening and learning with us. We'll see you next episode.